Hi, everyone. My name is Brook Eneas, and I am the CEO of Rock the Stage Fitness, which is a coaching company dedicated to girls who are preparing for pageant fitness. And the reason that I absolutely love what I do is because of the clients. I love the girls, I love being able to impact their lives and to do that in a holistic way. And today's guest is actually one that I worked with since she was a teenager, believe it or not. You may or may not have been introduced to her either in person or online. But Noelia Hendricks, newly married, is joining me today on the podcast. And I am so excited to be able to introduce you to her. She is so special. And so I'm going to go ahead and read her intro so that you can learn a little bit more about her behind the scenes. And then we're going to welcome her onto our time together on the big screen. So Noelia is someone whose journey represents way more than a title. She is a woman defined by depth, resilience, and courage. Many know Noelia as Miss USA 2023, but long before the national stage, she was a young woman learning how to trust her body, her voice, and her calling. I've had the privilege of coaching Noelia since she was a teenager, watching her grow, not only into a world-class competitor, but into a grounded, thoughtful, and purpose-driven leader. Her journey has included extraordinary highs and very real challenges, navigated with honesty, self-awareness, and strength. Noelia's story reminds us that success isn't just about pushing forward at all cost, but about knowing when to listen, when to protect your well-being, and when to choose alignment over applause. Today, we're talking about pageantry, fitness, growth, and what it really means to become on and off the stage. I'm honored to welcome someone I deeply respect, both as a coach and as a woman. Please welcome Noelia Voigt Hendricks. Welcome, beautiful.
Hi, thank you for having me. Wow, that intro was like making me emotional.
Oh, and it's also true, right? I think that's why I think
Thank
it touches all of us. Yeah, such a
you.
special person. Thank you for making time to join me today on the podcast.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I would move anything around in my schedule to be here.
That's amazing. So first, we just want to start, Noelia, by learning just a little bit more about you as a person. What keeps you grounded in terms of like a habit or a routine, no matter what season you might find yourself in?
Mhm. I feel like I've always been a very goal-oriented person. And when I first started to compete in pageants, of course, I feel like not all girls, but most girls, depending on what system you're competing in, maybe your goal is Miss USA, or maybe it's Miss America, maybe it's even Miss Universe. So for me, starting as a teenager, of course, I knew it would take a long time to get to Miss USA, but I always had that goal, at the forefront of my mind, even though I knew it was going to be sort of like a years away type of a experience.
Mhm.
So that is kind of what keeps me grounded and going, is like having that why, having that goal in mind, having like a vision board or just something that I can see every single day. Like the screensaver on my computer is my vision board for 2026. I just started nursing school. I'd love to be a CRNA one day. And since I'm at the beginning of my nursing journey, if everything were to go to plan, I'll be a CRNA in like 7 to 8 years. That's a long journey. But
Right.
that was just about how long my pageant journey was, from literally the beginning until the very end.
Wow.
So I know that I can do it, but I'm a goal oriented person. And of course, like, you can't just have, you have to have like a support system around you, and of course like really strong faith, because I don't think I would have been able to complete my journey, as long and as challenging as it was at times, competing for Miss USA or Teen USA, right? Because I was a teen at first, without having that really strong and solid faith.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And what it does is it allows those who are watching to maybe go back to the drawing board and say, "Hey, where's that foundation, right?
Hmm.
Where am I anchoring?" Because
Right.
every season is so different. It's just the truth. And so,
Hmm.
in order for you, which I've seen and I admire again, to have made it through 7 to 8 years of prep, that is a long time.
It is a long time. And the funny thing is, there's a part of my personality where, maybe for better or for worse, is like a little stubborn, right? Like, I want to get there. And if I can't for whatever reason, because of course in pageantry, like if it's ever that you can't win a title, I don't even like saying it that way. It's not that you're not deserving. It's literally up to a random panel of judges. And if the panel was different, it could have been you. So what I mean by that is like if it was never meant to, I guess, come out to be in your favor, at least I wanted to get as close as I could, you know? So I just was grateful at the end of the day to even be on the Miss USA stage. Under the circumstances that I was able to make it there and all the sacrifices that I made leading up to competing. And then, of course, like literally right up until the moment where we went on stage for finals, I was standing in the wings. I like separated myself from everybody and I just sat there and I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed for I don't even know how long. That really like grounded me and reminded me that even whatever, regardless of what happens at the end of this competition or whatever goes on in my life, like, you know, he's always there. He holds the pen. I'm just here to experience it and learn. Whatever's meant to happen is meant to happen for a reason, whether we know why or not yet.
So good, Noelia. So
Thank
good. Yeah. Um, I love that you said too, and we're just going to flow organically, right? Probably
Yeah,
off.
sure.
But I love that you said that, there's a panel of judges
Mhm.
and any separate day, of course, different results. And I just had a conversation with a group of girls and I said to them, I said, what you want to do is do everything you can do, everything you could possibly do to prepare yourself for this goal that you may have set.
Mhm.
And then once that's done, you've done everything that you possibly could do. Trust. And that's what I hear you saying,
Yeah.
right? If you've made, but what I really believe is that girls who make the cut typically are the
Mhm.
ones who have really done all that they can. So the judges see you, right? They
Yes.
notice you. And
Mhm.
then it's really judges bias, just being honest.
No, it is.
Yeah. And so again, different day, different results,
Yeah.
And so I think, sometimes we again just really have to trust that process
Yeah.
and know that we've done all that we can, but you just got to do all that you can. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And yeah, and again, just like what I like to tell girls is very similar to what you said. And it's also like if you are just putting so much stress on every part of the process, like once you're there trying to almost micromanage every little part of it, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're taking yourself out of it. And you're also in a way like maybe not intentionally, but you're almost kind of like stepping away from that trust and that faith, you know? Because that's the thing is when you try to control everything, what's that saying that people say that like, God kind of chuckles when he sees like the
Right.
plans
Our
you have for
plans.
your life. Yeah, because he's like, "No, I know what they are." Like that's really cute. And so that's the thing is you have to just, you know, acknowledge you want it really badly,
Mhm.
think about why that is, but then be okay with like whatever happens afterwards. You can be so grateful whether you win or whether you don't because like there is a plan and you will be okay. And I learned that because, I competed at Alabama twice and was first runner up twice. And I genuinely feel like if I had won either of those years, I wouldn't have won Miss USA. And then like who knows what would have happened, you know, with everything that happened with my resignation and whatever, but that probably would have never happened. So there was a reason for that. And of course at the time I just had no clue and I could have never imagined it, but that's what I mean, right? God is like,
Mhm.
"No, I know what I have. It's coming. Just wait. Just wait. Pump the brakes a little bit, girlfriend."
That's right. Yeah. We don't want to idolize this, girls.
Mhm.
And I think that's with anything in life. Whenever you're trying to force it, right, and really trying to make it happen, that's a different level, really, of it's. I would even call that prep. That really is just a power trip. Just to be honest with you, where you're. I think you're more afraid, and so what you're trying to do is really, again, and in this industry, I've seen it for years. Again, I call these girls this community overachievers. I
Mhm.
was there too, but you really got to learn to navigate through prep and trust at the same time. And
Yeah.
that's a delicate balance. But it works beautifully so that you again are not idolizing it and you don't feel like life is over if it doesn't turn out the way that you thought. You can trust whenever you do it the right way that there is actually something better coming. You can
Mhm.
trust it. So let's just have some really I guess, simple and practical questions before we step back into this conversation
Yes,
because I do
yes.
want to sit here. But let's talk about your favorite post workout meal.
Okay, it really, really depends. And I actually feel like something I've learned from you is to like cycle sync
Yeah.
with what I'm eating,
Mhm.
which is very important. So it depends. Like sometimes I'm really craving something hearty, like meaty, lots of heavy protein. Sometimes I'm craving something a little lighter, like a salad or um, maybe like a bowl of fruit or some yogurt or something like that instead, like a chia seed pudding. I don't know. It really depends. But I would say my go to typically is like a portion of chicken. I love doing like a spring mix salad, greens that are like rich in iron because I have had a history of like iron deficiency anemia. So I have to try to like, get that back up somehow. Some greens and then maybe some like tiny little potatoes on the side or
Yeah.
something like that. I don't know. I like to switch it up. That way I don't get like tired of my post-workout meal, but I love that. I've been trying to get better at the whole veggie thing, and I'm sure we'll talk about that too.
So funny. Oh my gosh. Noelia, like the journey to the 7 to 8 years behind the scenes is so funny to me.
I know.
And I tell your story all the time to
I know.
girls behind the scenes. But yes, we will talk about Noelia and what she endured during pageant prep. Okay, morning or evening workouts, Noelia?
Ooh, I'm an evening workout person.
Okay.
I think I'm just too tired in the morning sometimes. And my sister has actually snapped a photo of me when I was a teenager trying to do a workout in the morning at home. And I fell asleep on my workout mat on the floor mid workout. And so I have a photo. I'll have to send it to you. It's the funniest
Oh my,
thing. Yeah. And then, but I'm more of a night owl. For some
okay.
reason, I get my energy at the end of the day.
Yes.
And the workouts tend to make me tired. That's always been something that's puzzled me. Some people feel very like energized and invigorated after they work out, and I get quite sleepy. Maybe
Okay.
that'll get better with time, but that also helps me at night too. Because I
Yes.
get my energy at night, like I need something to like take that energy out of me and then make me tired to go to bed and not be up at all hours of the night trying to get some
Correct.
sleep. So
Yeah.
nighttime workout for sure.
Okay. Awesome. And you were a former competitor in terms of volleyball too.
Yes.
So just curious, were those at night or in the morning?
So we had in the summer, we had morning workouts for high
Okay.
school. For club volleyball, we had them like after school in the afternoon. So
Okay.
that was usually around like 4 o'clock. So not super late in the afternoon. Yeah, not like in the evening or anything like that. But there were many mornings I had to get up early and work out, and I did not want to. And as a high schooler, like I wasn't drinking coffee. So I was really suffering, going through these workouts and in the Florida heat and humidity, we were working out outside and oh my
So
goodness, I'm having flashbacks. But I got through them and it built up my endurance. So, it wasn't for nothing, but it was an experience.
it's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you could use one word to describe your current season, what would it be?
Like new beginnings, really,
Okay.
because it's the new year and I love new beginnings. And my husband and I just got married a few months ago. We just bought our new house. I'm sitting in my house that we just moved in a few weeks ago, and I just started nursing school. And I'm also going to be shadowing at the children's hospital for a position that they have open that I think I'm going to get hired for. The interview went well. They set up a shadowing opportunity for me, so I don't want to jinx him, trusting God on that one, but it's for a clinical assistant position in the cardiovascular intensive care unit. So I'm very excited about that. That would hopefully be another like new beginning, right? A new job I get to do while I'm in school. So yeah, definitely feeling like a lot of new seeds are being planted. And that's one of the text posts I actually have on my vision board that's on my computer screen is it says like slower seasons are for planting seeds. And it might not seem like this is a slow season because of everything that I just said. There's actually a lot going on. But when you're first planting the seeds, there's not a whole lot of like fruit to be gathered yet, if that makes sense. Like it needs time to like grow and develop. So in a way it is a little bit of a slow season because I'm waiting for these things to like bear something hopefully at the end of the year.
Yes. Yeah. And it will, right?
Mhm.
Every single year. or a season, because sometimes seasons take longer than a year,
Yeah.
walk through the seasons well, like
Mhm.
things will absolutely, you'll see a harvest of it if you just
Yes.
well. And that's actually my next question for you is, so in pageantry, as you were walking through all these years, 7 to 8 years behind the scenes, and maybe people don't know that,
Mhm.
but you knew what the end goal was. Like how, what do you feel like was probably one of the bigger lessons or harvest of this experience that
Mhm.
you recognize now that you didn't recognize before?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel that I learned a lot about myself in the sense of like, I always had a very difficult time growing up, sticking up for myself, even in moments where I knew something wasn't right. And I think like my experience as Miss USA, enduring what was going on with the organization at the time and how I really did not stand for that, it did not sit well with my soul to fall back on what I was used to doing. And that was just like being a people pleaser and trying not to stir up trouble and just going with the flow because I didn't want to make people upset with me. And I decided that that would be really, in my opinion, selfish of me to not speak up about, what was going on as much as I legally could, which was essentially my resignation post on my Instagram. And then, of course, like some subsequent messaging that like I did not agree with what was going on with the organization because the pageant world is bigger than I am. And I just could not imagine crowning the next winner and being like, good luck. I didn't say anything about what was happening, but best of luck to you, like sending you into essentially a burning building now and with like no warning. And I just like prayed about it a lot. And obviously, it was a very tough decision to come to. But I was like, you know what? It's not my intention to like shake the boat or rock the boat, but that might be the natural consequence of this. And if it's for the betterment of like the pageant industry as a whole, um, then like I guess I have to do that. And it doesn't matter because like at the end of the day, it's just, God's the only person that is going to judge me at the end of all of this. And if people want to have their opinions about me online about what happened or spread things that are untrue about the situation or untrue about who I am as a person, of course, like that's difficult to deal with on some level. But at the same time, it's like, okay, but you're not the one who is going to decide, like one day when my soul passes on, where I end up going or where I spend eternal life. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right. So I also learned then as well, like with my faith and that sort of like strength and knowing who I have on my side, that what these people have to say, I just like kind of just let it roll off. And I've kind of gotten really good at just being like, okay, when people say things instead of just feeling personally attacked. I just go, okay. And then I don't know, I've kind of like trained my brain in a way to not take that type of criticism so harshly or personally anymore, which has helped a lot. And it really does keep me like grounded as well. Unfortunately, I feel like today some people get so angry and so, polarized over things. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't feel that way, they can feel however they want. But I think it is an important practice to like practice calmness and just thinking and listening and not being so quick to be like, and freak out at people, so I've learned so much about myself and I think matured, and I that's really what I love to take away from my whole experience is that I grew as a person. I used to be so shy, so just like afraid of being in front of people and doing anything that would like cause anything bad to happen or cause some sort of uproar. And now I think I'm less afraid of that and more interested in just trying to make places and things better.
Wow.
Sorry, that was a long-winded answer.
And it was so good though. I don't think many people would have done what you did. And I said that to you privately. I think along the way I called you Noelia the Brave.
Oh,
And it was based on your book,
Mhm.
Maddie the Brave, which is about a girl who was being bullied. And unfortunately, she's no longer with us as a result just of what she endured. And I'm like, Noelia, you just stood up for the the women, which are the majority of us who feel judged and condemned and bullied and silenced. You stood up. And for those of whomever like doesn't understand that and just continue with that type of behavior, all we can do is pray for them, right?
Yeah.
But to know that you said, you know what, let me look at the final consequence of what this looks like, and it's not just about me.
Hmm.
Wow, amazing.
Thank you.
So proud of you. So
Thank you
proud.
so much. Thank you.
Yeah. So you didn't just grow into a title, you really did grow into yourself.
Hmm.
And the title is great. And I think there's so many great opportunities that can come from it. And it's definitely something that I think is enticing for most girls.
Hmm.
But I think what you just said, and help me to just justify this in terms of your response, but the journey itself was actually more important in my estimation than the destination.
Oh, 100%.
Mhm.
100%. Because I think a lot of people think like life is over after pageantry. And that's just, it could not be further from the truth. And the thing is we're so young. Like if you were to take yourself out of the equation and put some blindfolds on and have someone tell you, I have in front of you a 25-year-old, 26-year-old, whatever, sometimes even 20-year-old girl who is, and you list their resume, what they came to Miss USA with, what they had to, present to the judges, and all these accomplishments, and you say, do you think that their life is over after this pageant? They're going to be like, what? No. Like, are you kidding me? You're 20 something years old and you have the, like, no, the world is your oyster. And
Mhm.
that's the thing is, but, and I understand, like, if you don't end up leaving that competition with the outcome that you were hoping, right? And for most of the girls, all the girls, it's going to be like they want that crown.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to downplay those feelings at all. Like 100% process them. It is for most girls the end of their pageant journey, and it's been this activity, this thing that they've done for a long time. It's become a part of their identity. And so yes, I completely understand that there is that element of almost like grief afterwards of this is over. This thing I have loved to do, that I've poured myself into, is no longer going to happen.
Right.
So that is incredibly difficult, and I felt horrible for, like, so many of the girls that I competed with that were going through a really hard time. And I'm not saying that to like pity them or anything. I'm just, because they've gone on to be incredible successful women after the fact. I felt bad because, like, I wish I could have done something, but at the same time, like, I don't think I was the right person to do that, because I was, you know what I'm saying? I felt like I was in a really tough spot. Like, I wanted to be there for them, but I also didn't want to overstep. Or But anyway, I like, life's not over after pageantry. And if it was, then I wouldn't be doing anything with my life right now. And that's not the case. All the girls I competed with, they wouldn't be doing anything with their lives right now. That's certainly not the case. There are several girls in my class of Miss USA that one of them's almost done with pharmacy school right now. One of them is training to be a NASA astronaut. Like, you're kidding me. There's no way. I'm in nursing school. So life is not over after pageantry. And that's something that you have to trust too, is that, like, God's plan for your life, the pageant aspect of it is one part of it. It's not the end all be all. And it can be used as a stepping stone for things. I do have on my resume that I won the Miss USA competition, but it's not the only thing that's on there. I think it's a great talking point in an interview, and people find it interesting. But I have other things to list. It's not the most important thing about me. And when I meet new people today, only if it maybe comes up naturally in conversation will I mention that I won Miss USA. But if it doesn't, I won't say that. Like, I just moved into my new neighborhood. You asked me earlier if my neighbors know who that I was Miss USA. They don't. And I don't really plan on telling them, unless maybe, I don't know, if they've looked up my name to be like, oh, who's the new neighbor? And maybe they found out. But it's not the most important thing about me. And I don't I don't want it to be. Like I think it's a highlight for sure. I worked really hard for that, but I hope that throughout the rest of my life, like I can do more things and get an education and make a difference in other ways that that isn't the highlight or the peak of my life at the age of what, 24 when I won. So there's more to be done.
So much more to be done. And it is good. It's good. It's not the end. I love that
Yeah.
you said that. There's so much more inside of us that we don't even know
Mhm.
exists, right? So it's about discovery along the path. It
Yeah.
is really coming into the realization of just everything. And
Mhm.
that curiosity that I know that you have is so beautiful because, like, I think the curiosity should be like, what is next?
Yeah.
And how can I maximize the season that I'm in and really enjoy it? Because whenever we think the grass is greener on the other side, I think is when we misstep
Yeah.
and then we feel like life is over. Whenever we attain the goal or we don't, we're just like, oh, my life is over. And it's really not.
No.
There's so much more. So we met through PR pageant coaches.
Yes.
And on a weekend, I think you were 15, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken,
15, 16, something like that. Yeah.
such a baby, and walked in and I'm just like, and Jules, who is the president of PR, had already told me, she's like, wait until you meet Noelia.
Oh.
She's stunning. So Noelia walks in and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like who is this girl? But the
Oh,
thing about it is you are so humble. And I love that about you
thank you.
is even when you went to Miss USA, before the competition, watching you interview strangers in Vegas. Noelia, you're like, are you gonna watch a Miss USA competition? What are your thoughts? I'm like, this is brilliant.
Thank
Just it's
you.
just, but it's just who you are. To hear you say, I felt bad for the girls who maybe didn't make the cut or didn't make it, whatever, or I wanted to take everybody along with me. Like you could get that sense even on your social media. I just want to hug all of you. Thank you all for
Thanks.
your support. It's just who you are. And so I just want to talk through how you have redefined success.
I feel like it changes with every phase and season of life, honestly, because if you had asked me what my definition of success was when I was 5 years old to 10 years old to 15, like every 5 years, I bet you it would have changed. And even if you'd asked me at 20, in the midst of like my pageant journey, right? Like me competing as a Miss finally, like, Miss USA is the goal in mind. I I would have given you a different answer, but now success for me is defined as, and these are goals that I have that I'm going to be working toward over the next like, year, few years, however long it might take. But success for me is going to be defined as like, getting my education, finishing school, having a job that, brings me joy, that allows me to make a difference, and, hopefully having kids one day. I love kids so much. I cannot wait to be a mom. Just being a mom and like raising kids to also be like children of God and teaching them to be compassionate humans, like, but also trying to be that way and like be an example, right? They say that like you're supposed to tell by the fruit of someone's spirit how they are, like if they're a Christian or a child of God. And so I think that that's really important. Is right now we're seeing a lot of division and hate, and that really really hurts. Like it hurts so bad to open social media and see all of what's going on, because I just want to like blow a whistle and be like, time out, everyone, like let's take a breath. I think if people make a conscious decision to pause and listen and try to be compassionate, and like even if in those moments they catch themselves feeling not that way, bringing yourself back and being like, well, okay, like checking it, and leading by example. I think that is a great idea of success, just finding ways to give back. And people say that they may not always remember like what you say to them, but they remember how you make them feel. I've always lived by that. And so I always am very aware and cognizant of like my interactions with people, and hoping that if in 5 years from now I don't get the chance to speak to them again, they can at least remember our last interaction and be like, oh, that was wonderful though.
Oh, so sweet. I remember when we were in El Salvador, we had a chance to come and support you at
Yes.
Universe.
Oh my gosh, I'm so like grateful and honored that you came. Thank you so much.
Oh, it was a pleasure for sure just to be able to like the if you've never been at a Miss Universe pageant, number one, the energy in the room is like none other. I was just like, what? It doesn't compare. It doesn't translate on television to how it really is in person. Like
It
it's
was
a
so
lot of
good.
energy. Yeah. But even though there were only a handful of us from the USA, like when we started chanting USA, others started joining in with us. So you are so well loved, Noelia. And
Thank you.
yeah, even when you hit the ground there, just watching you interact with people and just an amazing person. So I cannot wait to see what's in store. I can't wait to see you in your motherhood journey.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
just all these new eras, like you talked about, new beginnings. It's just gonna be greater, you know? It's just
Yeah.
gonna be greater. So, okay, so I'm gonna now talk about fitness stuff because I know that's why
Okay.
everybody logged in. So I hope you got a better picture of who Noelia is. If you don't follow her, we're gonna put her handle below on Instagram and such, so you can go ahead and do that if you so choose. But I know that we again have worked together for such a long time. I just want to know, how did your approach to fitness change as you matured?
Okay, so when I first started working with you, Brooke, as you mentioned earlier, I was a volleyball player for 9 years, even like before I started competing in pageants. I've been playing since I was little, and even before that, I was a gymnast. So if you can think about a gymnast body type and a volleyball player's body type, it's very like very muscular,
Mhm,
very quad heavy, shoulder heavy, and and not in a bad way. I'm just saying like that's kind of where a lot of your muscle mass is accumulated.
mhm,
And so that was the type of athletic build that I was coming to you with, and then trying to transition it from that to more like toned and healthy, but more kind of like pageant sort of a body types. Not skinny like people think. We weren't trying to go for like skinny mini. We were just going for trying to, I think, like redistribute a little bit of that muscle mass, try to work on that a little bit. And also better my diet, because I think what I was eating before for the type of exercise I was doing was fine,
yeah,
but what I needed to do for pageants was quite different. So, as I've gotten older, my approach to fitness has been a lot more about incorporating my diet into it. I think when I was younger, it was more about like how hard can I work out and how many times a day can I work out? And that's what I was doing. I was like working out twice a day, and I would literally go on the Stairmaster for like an entire 45-minute long musical album. And I don't can't even fathom doing that today. I think I would give up at like 10 floors. I don't think I'd be able to do it, but I don't know how I did it before. I was crazy with working out, and when I started working with you, it was more of let's look at what you're eating and let's start to dial the amount of working out back a little bit, and let's do some more like targeted things, less really heavy weights, because I was doing, lots of squats with heavy weights, and that was contributing, I think, to like my heavier in muscle mass, like quads and stuff like that. So when we talked about my diet, it was hilarious because I think you must have been waiting for me at a certain point to talk about like veggie intake. And I didn't. And then you were like, okay, so do you eat vegetables, whatever? And I was like, no. And you're like, okay. And like, of course, you're so nice. Like, you're not critical at all. And you were just explaining to me like, the importance of making sure that I eat vegetables and the different types, and the nutritional value you get from them, and how they work in this process of exercising. How to get the goal that you want, you have to incorporate them. And you were so patient about like introducing some easy ones at first and getting me acclimated and how best to cook them, so I wasn't, turned off by them or anything like that. But culturally, like my mom being from Venezuela, a lot of what they eat is meat, like red meat, rice, and like plantain, and like a fried egg or something like that. There's not really a ton of vegetables incorporated into that diet, unless it's inside of like a shredded beef thing, and maybe it's like a little bit of peppers and onions, but it's not like you're eating a side of vegetables. So that was what I was like a little foreign to me. And honestly, as I got older, I was like embarrassed. I was like, oh my gosh, I started to date my husband, and I went to his parents' house, and we had for dinner like, veggies and a salad, and I didn't pick up any for myself. And my husband, boyfriend at the time, was like, "Are you going to you have some?" I was like, what? It was so embarrassing, but I'm so much better about it now. You'd be so proud of me, Brooke. Yesterday I had a kava bowl because I have to eat a lot of protein because of this burn. I had a
Mhm.
kava bowl with broccoli, onions, cucumber, tomatoes. I think I had every veggie in there that I actually could put from the toppings. I had to pat myself on the back for that one because 15-year-old Noelia would have looked at the bowl and been like, that's not happening." So I've gotten so much better at it. I have really tried to incorporate that into my diet. That way, if I'm ever having a period of time where I'm like unable to work out, like right now, at least I'm eating healthy foods.
Yes. So I saw the change right before my eyes, and I saw the transformation in your results.
Hmm.
They really do. They have to be blended together. They work hand in hand. And
Yeah.
quite frankly, nutrition is like 80% girls of the result that you're going to see. 20% is the working outside. They both matter, right? So you can't go to 80% and then think the other 20, doesn't need to be filled out with working strategically for a pageant stage. You need both, but most girls are so afraid of food. Their relationship is completely off. And that wasn't your story. You just didn't culturally, you just didn't, recognize it.
Right.
You did make the shift. It took a little bit of convincing,
Yeah.
but you got it. And when you got it, you got it. And so
Yeah.
this is what I was going to reference earlier. When we saw you on the USA stage, I remember watching and being like, "Oh, Noelia, you got this, girl. You were one. It was undeniable.
Oh,
You
thank
you
you.
just looked like you had so much fun on the stage. It had nothing to do with trying to tuck things in or hold your breath or pose a certain way. You were free.
Hmm.
Just enjoy. And we all saw it. I loved it.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, when I was backstage, there were definitely girls that competed my year, especially like the first one that comes to mind because she literally was next to me in the lineup was Texas. She had a very chiseled, toned body, and my body did not look the same to hers, but mine, it didn't mean that mine didn't look good. It just meant that mine looked different. And instead of me being in that moment like, oh my God, I should have done 1,000 more crunches to get abs like hers, or getting down on myself in that moment, I was like, you know what? It is what it is right now. I'm literally about to walk on stage. There is nothing I can do to change it. So might as well just go out there and have fun because in that moment, it's not the time to start nitpicking at yourself. Because if you do that, it's going to show on your face. Like it's going to show in forms of maybe on your like an insecurity, or you're going to be thinking about like, oh, what angle am I at? Where's the camera? Ugh. And that's exactly what I didn't want to happen. So yeah, when I went out there, I was just like, you know what? He's got me. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. This is a literally once in a lifetime opportunity. So it's not even worth stressing at this point. Like I've eaten good food. I have worked out. I feel like I'm in great shape. It's okay if my body isn't like doesn't have a 10 pack or whatever. It doesn't matter. That at the end of the day is not usually always going to be what makes like a girl win, unless it's like a bodybuilding competition. That's a totally
Right.
different situation.
Yeah.
But there is the interview aspect of the competition, there is evening gown, there is more to it. So I think for them, as long as you're physically fit, you're having a great time, because it does have to do with stage presence as well, and you're just like ticking all those boxes, that's really all that matters in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it definitely showed for you. I'll be honest,
Thank you.
and I think that's what set you apart is that everything was relaxed. Like you
Mhm.
really, again, you could tell that you were genuinely enjoying yourself. It was not just a performance. It
Thank
was,
you.
hey, here I am, and I am so happy to be here,
Mhm.
and we were happy that you were happy. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So in our last few like moments together, I
Mhm.
want to know just how do you think that competitors can really protect their mental health
Mhm.
just in high pressure environments? Because I know we talked about the physical side, which is really important, and I'm always teaching that. But I
Mhm.
would love to just, especially with you, just
Yeah.
talk about the importance of protecting your mental health when all cameras and lights and such are on you. What does that
Yeah.
look like?
I think that starts like way before you even get to the competition. everyone is different, so you have to figure out what what this looks like for you, whether it's a faith thing or whether it's just having like motivational quotes or things to ground you and remind you of almost everything that we just talked about, that like life does not end after this competition. I am still a XYZ, right? Like list the things that you like about yourself or the accomplishments that you've had person after this competition, regardless of the outcome. I am excited to leave this competition learning something or like whatever. You have to, it's all about reframing things.
Mm,
Because if, and I'm not saying I'm perfect at this because I still get very anxious at times about things, but if you reframe things as soon as you start to feel anxious about them, and sometimes you fall into that spiral of what if, what if, what if, this and that, and whatever, if you just reframe it into a way that helps to calm you down, I think that that's helpful. And I don't want to be like a proponent for like toxic positivity, because I do know that sometimes people can go a little bit too far and then they don't address the way that they're actually feeling. So I don't mean like suppress what you're feeling and only try to think positively. Like of course I think you need to address and think about, why am I feeling this way? And from there, you start to like kind of make a little web of supports that
mhm,
help you, because if you don't address those things and then one day something happens where it just sets you off and you realize, oh my gosh, I've never dealt with my emotions pertaining to whatever else was happening before, it just can explode. And that's not what I want to happen. And I encourage people, like, if you are anxious about things, there are resources online for mental health, but also if you feel like you're someone who benefits from talking to someone, finding a professional, finding a therapist, or if you have a really good relationship with someone spiritually who you trust and has been there for you, who really knows you, knows your heart, like find someone who can help you that way. But everyone is different, like I said. So while some people may find that more helpful, other people might find talking to like a therapist more helpful. It just depends.
yeah,
But everyone's different. Don't ignore the way you're feeling, but also try to help yourself in little ways to reframe these moments and turn them into positive things, because our brains are like elastic. If you can train your brain to think differently about certain things, then it does equip you later on in life whenever you encounter similar situations to not be so maybe like afraid of it if when the time comes.
yeah. So good. Yeah. Especially as a young adult. This will be probably my final comment in regards to this conversation, and I'm going to
Mhm.
ask that you just give closing
Yeah.
comments. But I think sometimes as a young adult, as I look back, I remember how much pressure it was to figure things out.
Mhm.
You're walking through not just pageantry, which I know, again, those who are tuned in are doing, but you're also figuring out romantic relationships, right?
Mhm.
And um, just life in terms of purpose and calling, and just trying to decide whether or not you're doing the right things or taking the right steps. I
Mhm.
think that there is also maybe some platonic relationships that you're trying to navigate through, friendships, and whether or not they're healthy or not, whether or not she's really for you, or
Mhm.
what does that look like. There's just a lot, and then you're kind of semi on your own, kind of adulting but not quite yet, still kind of relying on parents financially, but again making all these major shifts and transitions. And
Mhm.
so I absolutely lean into that advice that Noelia just shared, in that there's always someone that is around you that could probably lend some really good wisdom in the season that you're in, and just help you to transition a bit better and make it so much easier. So don't do it alone. But Noelia, last comment for our audience today would be what from you?
Oh my goodness. I feel like there's so many things that I could say, but yeah, I mean, don't go through things alone. That's one of the most important things that I've learned, is like in every phase of life, no matter what it is that is going on, whether you're starting a new school, you're moving, a new job, whatever it is, you need to have a community of people around you. And as I mentioned, we just moved to this new house. We're in a new neighborhood for us, and I just was telling my husband last night, like we have got to go out and like make friends. You know, we have friends in the surrounding area, but we would love to have people close by, to like really start to make a local community here, kind of feel more our own. And it just is so much easier to go through life with people who are similar and like-minded and have your back, can help you if you need it, in times of an emergency. You know, what do you do if you're alone? It's sometimes it's sad, and it can be, I don't want to be like alarmist or sound anything like crazy here, but sometimes it can be like dangerous to be alone. You need to have someone there that you can talk to, that you can trust, lean on, you know, that you can check in on, they can check in on you. And also, if you ever do feel alone, just know that there are resources out there. And if you're open to, you know, like the more spiritual side of things, just knowing that, you know, God is listening. And if you ever need to talk to him for anything, he's there. And sometimes, like in the loneliest moments that I had living out in Utah by myself, where I didn't really know anybody, that was who I talked to. So just know that there are people out there and resources. And if you ever need to go talk to anybody, you know, he's always there too.
Oh, so special. Well, Noelia, you are a joy, my love.
Thank you, Brooke.
Yes. And I mean, I think we could probably keep going, to be honest. Like, I know there's so much more to discover, right? And I think that would really benefit every girl coming down the path. But at this stage, what I would encourage you to do is follow Noelia, follow her journey. And I think just watching her, there's just so much to glean from her. So I want to say thank you again for being here. If you would please do me a favor, those of you who are watching, go ahead and like, share, subscribe. And then also make sure that, you know, if you know of other pageant ladies who would really benefit from this conversation, share, share, share. From teenager to young adult to now kind of, you know, mid-adult age or 20s, Noelia is there. She's taken us on her journey. It's so beautiful. So I think all ladies honestly could benefit from just watching this or listening to this podcast today. So thank you all for being here. I want to also invite you back to watch other podcast episodes of other young ladies. They have all been so spectacular. And just join us on this path of really living the best life that you could possibly live. So stay tuned for more details. Look in the comments below, like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.